prophetic isn't the word. Prophetic is overused. It's not that he predicts the society we live in today. He finds the eternal formulas by which power defeats the human mind and individual. It wasn't that he was just extrapolating about historical trends.
Yes.
He was giving us a worst case scenario for groupthink over person think. He was giving us a warning about what happens when we lose our memories. More than anything else, 1984 is a book about time, about a society which doesn't have access to the past, in which the past is constantly rewritten to celebrate the current leaders.
So it's Wikipedia.
Yeah, kind of, yes. And in which there is no future because no one can plan a life. No one can even expect that they won't go to jail tomorrow for some tiny crime or offense. People in 1984 are stuck brutally and tragically in the present. And the thing that keeps the present their sole preoccupation is the violence of society. You know, the thing about violence is it happens now. It takes you out of the past. It blots out the future. Violence is a deep experience of the present only, from which you can't escape. And in 1984, the reason they have a 2-minute hate where the society gathers every day to throw oranges and, you know, hurl curses at this imaginary enemy, subversive, Goldstein. And the reason they have an actual hate week in the summer every year where they do that for a week is that fear, anger, and violence are ultimately the weapons of the control class. And he does a very good job of showing how eternal and perpetual war with unseen enemies abroad keeps the people in their place and keeps them insecure and anxious. He does another good job of showing how constant fear in the domestic realm, will I be told on, will I be turned in? You remember in 1984, there's a telescreen that watches you, you don't watch it. Will I be seen to have some, item I shouldn't have? I'm supposed to have black market cigarettes, but somehow I found some good ones. Will they see those and come to my house and take them, take me? And so the book is a nightmare, and it's a thorough nightmare, which seems to offer no hope at all. At the end, it's not any spoiler to say the hero who manages for a short time to think for himself, to have a love affair, to write a diary. His great crime in the book is starting a diary. Pens and paper are pretty much illegal in the world because they create a record that can't be falsified, And so at the end, he's completely crushed. He's tortured. He's brainwashed. And he comes out at the end a thoroughly broken person, saying slogans, I love Big Brother, without spirit, without hope. It is a hopeless portrait of what happens when an inner circle of people devoted to power above all take control of the human mind and the individual. And if you want to depress yourself, read 1984. That it resembles in so many ways things that are happening now is uncanny, but I guess someone used it as a template at some point. I mean, you would almost think they did. In so many ways, our censorship regime, our surveillance regime, in the book, the young people are the enemies of the old. They're spying on them constantly. Children are the most distrustful and zealous backers of party orthodoxy.
Especially young women.
and young women in particular. And Orwell has been criticized for that, thus the misogyny.
Because it bears no resemblance to our current reality whatsoever. I mean, he just made it up out of nothing.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, we have, when I read it as a child, the reason they assigned 1984 was to tell us that there's this place called the Soviet Union that is much like this. And by reading 1984, you can celebrate your freedom to read 1984.
Exactly.
Which they can't do over there. You can celebrate the superiority of our culture and our, value for the individual and our freedom to think, express ourselves without fear. But when you read 1984 now, it's not to feel superior to the old Soviet Union or, Hitler's Germany. It's to realize we're there. We're so there that in some ways Orwell lacked imagination. He didn't know AI, though. When in the world of 1984, novels are written by machines. They just take the elements of novels and, like a kaleidoscope, they crank a wheel and new combinations come out, which is very much like the AI literature I've been predicting.
In 1984, machines write novels.
Yes.
I don't know how I forgot that.
Winston's girlfriend, Julia, is in the novel writing department. And it's a funny book. At one point, she gets injured operating the novel writing machine. And he said, but it was a common injury in the novel writing department.
She got her fingers caught in a novel writing machine?
Yeah.
So you walk into my garage, my actual garage, one of the first things you see is a Liberty safe. We trust it. All my family's guns are in there, the guns I inherited, the guns I actually hunt with. I put the things I really care about in a Liberty safe. They've got a new pricing program on its Centurion line. It makes it easier than ever to afford real protection, which is made in the United States. These safes are actually made here in Payson, Utah. Skilled American workers make them, and they are clearly a quality product. They're not that expensive. Prices start below $600. The Centurion line is the perfect product for first-time buyers. It's ideal for protecting your firearms, important family documents, anything you want to keep safe. My guns are right there, right now. Every American deserves access to high-quality, secure storage without spending money overseas. That's why Liberty is the best. LibertySafe.com. The whole Centurion line is there. Keep your family protected. You'll be glad you did. We are. Prophetic doesn't fully describe it. If there's a novel writing machine,
Right, exactly. He was limited by the technology of his day and some of the circumstances and how he imagined things. The one thing he gets wrong is that 1984, the society called Oceania, Airstrip 1 is the new name for England. It's allied with America in an alliance against Eurasia, which is basically Russia and Eastern Europe, and East Asia, which is basically China. And they're perpetually at war with each other. And the war and the sides change constantly. One of the greatest black humor scenes in all of literature is Winston Smith in Trafalgar Square, some London square, during a big demonstration against the enemy, Eurasia. And there are posters up of the Eurasian evil leaders and their atrocities and so on. And in the middle of the protest, the word comes down from Big Brother, from the party, from the government, that we're no longer at war with Eurasia. We're actually at war with East Asia. And the posters against Eurasia are all still up. So how are the people going to reconcile the fact? Because they're told we've always been at war with East Asia. And they go, saboteurs put those posters up. Tear them down.
Russian agents.
Tear them down. And how many times in the last few years have we been through those ridiculous pivots where, only the vaccine can save us? Next day, no one ever said it stopped transmission of COVID. Joe Biden is just a nice old man with a stutter he's had since childhood. Oh, we always knew he was a Alzheimer's patient, being hidden by, his family and various cunning, subordinates. We're going through that every day, that scene where we are suddenly expected to switch enemies. we've switched Elon Musk being the enemy 3 times in the last week, I think. About a week ago after his fight with Trump, I saw Democrats saying, we should court Elon. We should bring him into our movement, Now he's apologized, and it'll again be, firebomb Teslas.
Yeah.
It's not just docility it's not just...
It's so depressing what you just said. I'm sorry.
It's not just passivity that Orwell records. It's the ability of thinking people, or allegedly thinking people, to pretend that what's happening isn't happening, that what just happened never happened, and to go on mouthing these utopian slogans about a future that no one actually believes will come.
What's so interesting, and I've been an Orwell fan my whole life, read the collected Orwell. Orwell was a cheerleader for the Second World War. Mm-hmm. He was a government propagandist. He worked for BBC. Hate to say it, but it's true. And he wrote 1984 only 3 years after the end of the war.
Yeah. And
points out, it's a militarized society.
Yes.
I mean, that's the essence of totalitarian control is war.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, that seems like a big, he seems to have changed his view.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, again, Orwell was...
Oh, he
spent the war rallying England to war.
Right. He participated in what he seemed to believe was a just war, and then afterward started to see it as a racket for the control of people.
Exactly.
Yeah, he does. And he also sees terrorism, a form of terrorism, as a control mechanism, too. In Airstrip 1 in Ocean Eye, every once in a while, a rocket will just fall and wipe out a crowd. And no one knows where they're fired from. They assume they come from the enemy. And one day, Winston is with his girlfriend in this little hideout that they have in the middle of the book in their, very short and soon-to-be curtailed love affair. And she says, we're shooting those. I know we shoot those rockets. What? He said, yeah, we shoot those rockets. It's what we call a false flag nowadays. And Winston says, I never could have imagined that was possible. Here he lives in this nightmare society, but he still can't believe that they would shoot rockets at their own people in order to keep them fearful. The woman, however, sees it clearly. She's a little bit more cunning. She has a lower estimation of people. But there's not much in Orwell and in 1984 that doesn't have an equivalent now. And there's not much in there that doesn't explain events these days, as I read it, I read it this morning, there are riots going on in Los Angeles, full of hate, full of anger, full of people brandishing bricks, Molotov cocktails, and so on. And I thought, does it really matter what they're supposedly protesting? No, it's the rage that matters. And is the rage really something that threatens America, threatens the state? Or are these outbreaks of rage and rioting in a way of service to power? Because they keep us distrusting each other. They keep us divided. They keep us rebuilding. One of Orwell's theses is that society's gotten so prosperous that you have to have a war just to keep the economy going. Everybody has everything, so you got to destroy a lot of stuff in order to rebuild it, abroad and at home. and seen through the lens of 1984, protest doesn't look like it's about anything but riotous protest, but keeping the machine going through channeling people's frustration, anger, and anxiety into these orgies that really lead nowhere, but always cause us to need more surveillance, more control, etc. It gives me a dour idea of the supposed idealism behind riotous protest. I see those people as tools, frankly.
I think they are. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.